And now, without further ado, I'd like to kick it to Ali, who is going to start the presentation.
All right, thank you. Hi, everyone. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedules to join me and Quincy today for this webinar. Quincy and I are both customer success managers on EVERFI's higher education team, and we are here today to provide details on all the changes that have happened in the last year and a half or so at EVERFI. So in terms of an agenda, we will give a brief overview of EVERFI, provide some insight into our team, walk through the course catalogs and platforms, as well as some of the data that comes with the EVERFI platform. And then we will wrap up by answering any questions that you all may have. So for those of you on the webinar today who are not familiar with EVERFI, we just wanted to give a bit of background on the company, talk through some recent developments, and provide some insight into what a continued partnership with us would mean for our Workplace Answers and Campus Answers partners. EVERFI is an education technology company, and while Quincy and I work on the higher education team, we also focus in the K-12 space and the corporate compliance space. About 18 months ago, we joined forces with Law Room Campus Clarity, and not long after that, we acquired Workplace Answers, so both leaders in the compliance space. These acquisitions came as EVERFI recognized the need to go beyond offering primary prevention trainings with both students and faculty and staff to maximize our impact and really move the needle on some of these critical health and safety issues we see on campuses. EVERFI has been providing training on critical prevention topics for over 15 years now, which is long before any legal requirements around sexual harassment or assault prevention training were in place. So simply put, we were providing this type of education because it was the right thing to do. Because EVERFI has primarily been focused on the prevention side of things and Law Room and Workplace Answers have been on the compliance side, these acquisitions have allowed us to really marry our prevention and compliance efforts into one. This all comes at a time where we're seeing a shift away from schools providing training just to meet legal requirements and simply check the compliance box, and instead provide training focused on skill building and educating on content areas like bystander intervention to ultimately improve cultures and climates. Thus, EVERFI is uniquely positioned to support our partners in addressing these topics. So quickly, just want to launch into a poll here. So Kaylee, if you wouldn't mind launching our first poll. So just to get a better understanding of how confident you all feel around the current federal compliance legislation. Give you a couple more seconds here. All right, perfect. We will go ahead and close the poll. All right. So that's really helpful, and that actually is kind of a perfect segue into the next topic here. So one thing that we wanted to bring to your attention today is the Campus Prevention Network, which has really come to fruition as a result of working with over 1,700 colleges and universities across the country and helping them tackle some of these critical issues we see in higher education today. The Campus Prevention Network is a network of schools committed to prevention and compliance best practice with the ultimate goal of creating safe and healthy campus communities where students, faculty, and staff can thrive. EVERFI is really working to bring these committed campuses together through the CPN, or Campus Prevention Network, and is primed to support, strengthen, and recognize these schools for their commitment through our team of prevention and compliance experts, research, multiple thought leadership resources, whether that be guidebooks or webinars or white papers, and through events to bring the collective network together to share in best practice, help understand federal compliance, and make forward progress together on these critical health and safety issues. So for those of you who answered that you are less familiar with the current landscape, I definitely urge you to take a look at our Campus Prevention Network. And on that note, we actually have our annual summit coming up in New Orleans on June 6th through 8th. Summit is a 3-day gathering for higher education professionals to learn, share, and explore strategies for enhancing prevention and compliance efforts at their institutions. We recently announced that this year's keynote speaker is Tarana Burke, founder of the Me Too movement and the 2017 Time Person of the Year as part of the Silence Breakers. We are very excited to have her join us this year, and we hope that you all can come as well. We will be sending some follow-up information on the Campus Prevention Network and the summit after this webinar, so stay tuned. To shift gears a little bit, I wanted to give you an overview of the EVERFI team. Because the topics we train on sit at the cross-section of compliance and prevention, our team has deep expertise in both these areas. We believe that content and technology we provide can only be as good as the people behind it, which is why we have over 100 full-time employees working on the higher education team. Our team is made up of attorneys, prevention leaders, engineers, designers, and federal lawmakers, all here to help our partners succeed in their prevention and compliance efforts. We also have our customer success team, which Quincy and I are a part of, which works side by side with our partners to help with training, deployment, best practices, and data deep dives. I did want to take a moment to touch on our prevention education team, which consists of industry experts like Holly Ryder-Milkovich, who was a negotiated rulemaker for the VAWA amendments to the Clery Act, who played a critical role in the development of the NCAA toolkit, and Kimberly Kemp, who's nationally renowned for her expertise in alcohol and other drug research. These are just a few of the EVERFI team members who have helped develop our extensive and comprehensive training catalogs for both students and faculty and staff, and which Quincy will be getting into a little bit deeper now.
Wonderful. Thank you, Allie, and hello everyone on the line. My name is Quincy Wright, and alongside Allie, I'm a customer success manager on the higher ed team. Thrilled to chat with you this afternoon. The next step is I want to get a little bit more in the weeds and talk through the EVERFI courses and platforms. Specifically, let's first talk a little bit more about the philosophy that guides the courses that we develop. As Allie mentioned, here at EVERFI, we aim to move beyond compliance, and we work to align our courses not only with compliance best practice, but also prevention best practice. What does that mean? It means here are 4 guiding principles that lead us along that path. First, we're efficacy-based. Our Alcohol EDU, or Alcohol Abuse Prevention course, has been published in 6 efficacy studies, including a 2001 multi-site randomized control trial supported by the National Institutes of Health, and is formally endorsed by the NIAAA. And we're really thrilled, just this month, a peer-reviewed efficacy study on our sexual violence prevention courses was just published in the Journal of Interpersonal Violence. We're thrilled and really honored to be the only commercially available sexual assault prevention program with published peer-reviewed efficacy. We also aim to be our customers' really one-stop shop for all of their prevention and compliance trainings. Our campus-wide course packages are designed from really the ground up to help you meet the primary and annual training requirements under Title IX and Edgar Part 86. So we're comprehensive. We're also really engaging. We work hard to develop user experiences that are interactive, that allows for course branching, realistic scenarios, and in-course assessments. This, along with videos and audio tracking, really ensure that the messages we're trying to deliver are delivered in a way that really meets the 21st century learner where they are. And then finally, our feature-rich deployment tools, really allow for you as the admins to try to get out and do a little bit less administrative work and make it a little bit easier for you to deploy, track, remind, and ultimately analyze the data that you receive from these courses. At EVERFI, we understand that higher ed institutions are often decentralized by design. We also know that many offices within an institution have a stake in compliance and prevention training. And so this webinar, for example, is a great example of the diversity of the types of folks and the titles at different institutions that we work with. On the line, we have folks from Human Resources, Student Affairs, Title IX, and diversity and inclusion work. So we're thrilled that you're all part of this. And again, as customer success managers, Allie and I love to work with folks beyond just the HR offices and Title IX offices and really engage many different parts of an institution. A big reason we like to engage folks across different offices is because our catalog is really extensive. So let's dive in and explore it a little bit deeper. This is our faculty and staff catalog. It gives you a little bit, at least of a high level sense of the different content areas that we focus on. So as you can see, there's lots of different areas, but what I want to do is highlight just a few of our most popular trainings. First and foremost, our harassment and discrimination prevention course is brand new. We just relaunched it on January 1st of this year, and that course covers Title VII sexual harassment content as well as Title IX Clery content in a really comprehensive, meaty primary prevention course that is automatically versioned to serve content to both supervisors and then different content for non-supervisors. Because we often understand that that they sort of need different messages around this content, and it also meets some state-specific legislation around version content for supervisors and non-supervisors. But beyond Title IX, there's a lot of really great content that we manage and update. FERPA Basics is a course that looks at information security around students. Diversity Inclusion in the Modern Workplace is a D&I course that's specific to higher ed institutions. Data security is really an important topic, especially for some of our IT professionals. And again, that's versioned for higher ed users. And then finally, Clery Act Basics is a really popular course that often a lot of our partners use to help train their campus security authorities. Moving into our student training catalog, we break these courses out into sort of three different parts. One, primary, then annual ongoing, the booster shots, and then we keep our NCAA specific athletic courses as well. Those are new as of this year. For primary prevention, we have our alcohol and other drug course, or otherwise known as Alcohol EDU, which is really the gold standard in online prevention education. We just released a new prescription drug abuse course, which was a really big ask from a lot of our partners who want to try to combat the opioid crisis on at their campuses, and also to meet some emerging state legislation. Title IX and Clery are versioned content for different audiences. Those are all brand new. We are in the process of revamping all of them, and we really want to really deliver these critical messages to the types of students, the diverse types of students that we work with, from undergraduates, graduates, adult learners, and community college students specifically. And then we all understand that to really properly meet Title IX and EDGAR Part 86 compliance, you really need to be delivering these messages to students on a yearly basis. And this year we developed brand new annual ongoing courses for both alcohol abuse and sexual assault prevention. We're thrilled about that, and those courses are designed to be iterated upon on a yearly basis. So a sophomore who returns to your campus as a junior will get a slightly different version of that course that's fresh and new, and it will allow us to deliver really important messages in a different way that helps to hammer home these important topics. Finally, all of our student courses have built-in survey instruments that allow your institution to demonstrate the efficacy of your prevention trainings, which, as you know, is an important part of Title IX, Clery, and EDGAR Part 86 compliance. So next, let's do another pause and go back out to you all on the phone to see how you're currently measuring the efficacy of your compliance trainings. We're curious to see how you're sort of working on it right now. So we'll pause for a few minutes. Are you doing it online, through in-person surveys, maybe as part of an in-person orientation training, for example? Are you doing something that we hadn't thought of? Or maybe you're not currently using surveys to measure for efficacy? Or you might have no idea, and that's fine too. So we'll pause for just a couple of minutes and wait for folks to kind of respond in some way, and that'll give us a better sense as we learn a little bit more about our Workplace Answers customers. All right, wonderful. We're over the 50% mark. So Michele, go ahead and we can close down the poll, and we'll switch back over to the webinar. Thanks for your participation. All right, so next let's go into kind of hopefully the meat of why a lot of you are here, and talk a lot about how, at a high level, EVERFI goes about launching the courses that you plan to implement with your faculty, staff, and students. And there really is sort of a four-step process. Once you decide which course you'd like to implement with your with any given population, obviously you want to do some customizations to make the course feel like it's coming from your institution, and B, make sure it has policies and resources that are up to date and relevant for the learners. So those customizations are available to you to update at any time, 24/7, and are really convenient and easy to do. Once you have your course that's all set up, you're ready to deploy. We have a self-deployment model at EVERFI that allows you to really easily decide who gets the courses that need the courses. You can send them out at any time with very little setup, either through uploading a list or emailing users. Once you have a course or more than one course launched to your user base, there's really easy ways for you to send reminder notifications, either directly from our system or via Excel downloads. You can send reminders from your own email system. And then finally, at the end, it's really important to look at and examine not only survey data, but also course completion data to hold folks accountable and try to drive completion rates up. And that's what the real-time assessment for impact allows. Really easy data, real-time data analytics that you can not only use for your own office, but also share up with leadership. Next, we'll go through and just look at a few brief screenshots from our courses. This is a screenshot from one of our newest ongoing sexual assault prevention courses, and it shows how you can upload a welcome letter, include your own institution's logo, add additional resources, or even an image from campus, as well as a very visible toggle for accessibility. That's a really important goal at EVERFI, to make sure that all of our courses are fully accessible. On the faculty and staff platform, we have branching videos that I think are really helpful and allow your users to engage with content in different ways and choose a choice and see how that scenario would play out if they went through that specific response. This is a screenshot from our new harassment and discrimination course. Additionally, all of our cases and scenarios that we utilize are real. They're based in fact, and in fact, if a user is curious or wants to know more about a specific case, you'll be able to dive in and examine optional additional information that our development team have created. So they really can get a sense that these cases are real and are not fiction. So as you prepare for your first launch, fortunately, we have a fantastic team to partner with you, the administrators, as well as partner with your learners to access the support they need quickly and effectively. On the administrator's end, Ali and myself, as well as other members of the customer success team, work with administrators like you to help you decide which courses to launch and how to most effectively launch them. We really work to sort of be a strategic partner in all of your sort of training efforts. In addition, all of our partners have end user support, meaning when your learner is taking the course at 2 a.m. on a Sunday morning, they're able to sort of really get a sense of, and they bump into a problem or question, they have someone that they can talk to, because we all understand that college students sometimes have non-standard hours. So they are able to talk to someone online, over email, or over the phone any day of the week, 24/7. And then finally, we work really hard to support sort of the back-end process of our platform in a number of different ways. One, all of the data that we collect through our survey instruments is highly secure. It's part of Amazon Web Services, is the vendor we use to support and host our courses and the data. And again, all of our courses are WCAG 2.0 accessible. We also offer a number of integration options that are a little bit more technical, and we're happy to explore that with you if you'd like to explore it. The final piece I want to talk about is understanding the data we collect in our courses. That's a really important and critical part of EVERFI's mission, and we're working to continually build out great tools to make this easier for you. On the student side, we offer powerful surveying instruments that allow you to measure course efficacy, knowledge gains, demographics, personal experiences, social norming data, and examine how campus culture may impact students' behavior and perceptions around these really tough issues. Once you've kind of finished the course or midway through a student launch, we really work hard to create easy ways for you to collect that data. It's one thing to have the data, it's another thing to understand what that data says and sort of really understand the story behind that data. There's two different ways that we go about that. One, through real-time benchmarking data, which allow you to compare some of your results from, let's say, the sexual assault prevention undergraduate course with the national aggregate data set that EVERFI collects. Or from a more small data set, maybe just community colleges, for example. And then annual impact reports once a year. Our data team does a really manual annual intensive dive to kind of curate the information that we collect from your student courses into executive level summaries that are easy for you to share up with the folks who need that information. And so these are really valuable. A lot of our partners find this to be an important part of taking their training efforts beyond just the online realm and really focusing in on the areas that their students need the most support and impact. Finally, as the largest higher education provider that focused on prevention and compliance trainings, we're really honored to work with over 1,700 campuses. And this year, we're on track to train 5 million higher education learners, students, faculty, and staff. And we're just super honored and grateful to be a partner and able to really create a dent in a lot of these problems in such a scalable and large-scale way. And at EVERFI, again, we're really held to these sort of 4 beliefs whenever we build and update courses. We work hard to ensure that our courses are effective and proven effective based on third parties. True expertise, we work and hire and maintain relationships not only with our higher ed content professionals, but also with our partners who inform our courses, and we often perform surveys and really engage with them to see how we can take our platform to the next level for them. We always work with prevention best practice in mind, so we take your institution beyond just checking a box and really moving to actually affect change on these tough issues. And then finally, we always want to make sure that we're telling a data story that makes sense and makes your jobs a little bit easier and more effective in the long run. So we're thrilled that as Workplace Answers customers, you've joined our EVERFI family. I hope that we can continue to partner with you and your institutions to help move the needle in these really critical health and safety areas. So with that, I want to just close out with a final poll to see, now that you've learned a little bit more about EVERFI, to see if you might be interested in scheduling a call with someone like Ali or myself over the next coming weeks to sort of talk a little bit more about how to engage with your institution. So go ahead, Michaela, you can launch the poll. And we'll wait a few minutes and we can sort of begin to collect answers there and hopefully get to about 50% response. Hold for just a few more minutes here. Awesome. All right, Michaela, you can go ahead and close down that poll. Thank you for the responses. And again, someone from our team will follow up if you selected yes, and we will certainly love to try to schedule a call and talk on a little bit more of a one-on-one basis. And then with that, that sort of concludes the formal part of our presentation, but we're here and we'd love to answer any questions you might have. Again, doing so by typing out your questions in the text box on the right-hand side of your GoToWebinar screen. So we'll hold for just a minute or two to see if there are any questions or concerns you might have for us, for either Ali or myself. So one of the questions is, are your programs SCORM or AICC compliant or compatible? That's a question regarding our LMS integrations, and they are. We are happy to work with you and explore options to integrate with SCORM or other LMS systems. Great question.
So next question we see here is, how does your pricing structure work? Would we buy a bundle of programs, or is there a library of programs that we can pick and choose from? Great question. Our pricing structure is a site license model. So we currently have a student site license and a faculty and staff site license. And so within that, you would get, if you do a student site license, all of our student courses, and if you do our faculty and staff site license, all of our faculty and staff courses. And then we also do have a campus site license that does typically come with a little bit of a discount if you do 2-in-1. And again, that would give you all courses on both student and faculty and staff catalogs.
And we're really happy to examine pricing and work with your institution, again, on a one-on-one basis and sort of more of a follow-up call down the line. I think that we'll wait another couple of moments to see if any other questions pop up. It looks like that's it. Again, if we weren't able to get to your questions, we'll do the best we can to reach out to you on an individual basis. Otherwise, this concludes our WPA and EVERFI webinar. We're, again, thrilled to have you as part of the EVERFI family, and we look forward to continuing to work with you. Thanks for your time this afternoon.
Thank you all.
Oh, this is Michele with EVERFI again. Thanks so much for being with Ali and Quincy today. We're about to close this off. I'm going to leave a couple seconds more. I see folks are still asking questions. So if you have queries, please feel free to put them in. And as Ali and Quincy mentioned, we will definitely reach out to you and make sure your queries are answered. With that, I'd like to remind one last time that the slides and the recording will be sent to you, and that a short quality call will initiate once I shut this event down. If you could please give us your feedback on today's event, we would very much appreciate it. So thank you very much and have a great day. In a few seconds, the webinar will end.